I hereby summon all my imps. Hey everybody, it's Annabelle. Since we last talked, at least 10 cards have come out. And we're going to start where we left off. The last card that we left off on was the High Cultist. So the first card up for us is the Scourge Temper. So Scourge Temper is a 2-mana 2/2 for Hunter that says craft the custom zombies. For anybody who doesn't know, zombies is a ability that you can get where you can basically put two beasts together that are 5 or less to make a new beast for you. I mean, it's not bad, but there's going to be times where you get this on the battle cry on 2, and you just don't know what you want to build for later. Some of the choices that you get for craft aren't the best in the world. I mean, you've seen on the Tavern Brawl when you have the Zombies Tavern Brawl, is sometimes that zombies is like the most ridiculous thing ever. 12/7, lifesteal, rush, whatever. But sometimes the best that you can manage out to get is like a 3-mana 3/3 with taunt or something like that. So the randomness of this is sometimes going to really bite you. I mean, it's undead, so you'll see something in play. The zombies, I think, are technically considered undead. They might change that, but I think technically a zombies is considered undead. If they change that as an ability, all the beasts that you get will be considered undead, because they should all be undead beasts. Which might be a little bit of a boon to this undead package. But, you know, you gotta wonder about, like, what you get off of this, because the high rolls are good, but the low rolls are gonna make you super sad. And that's what I'm gonna get this, you know, high rolls good, low rolls super sad. And I don't think you have it in between, that's the problem. Next up for us is going to be another Hunter card, which is Shock Spitter. Shock Spitter is a 2-mana 2/2 beast. It says Battle Cry, deal 1 damage, improved by your hero attack this game. This card is a lot sneakier than everybody gives it credit for, because of the fact that this can go face. It's not the shiniest card in the world. It's not going to win any, you know, like, prizes for being a card that you sit there and go, oh my god, I need to get this card. However, there is enough in this to be good, because even with the worst weapon in the world, a 2 durability weapon, which I think is the worst you can do in Hunter. Is there anything that's got 1 durability in Hunter? I'll have to look through that. So let's go with a common bad weapon that just has 2 durability. If this gets off and you attack twice with your weapon, then this is doing 3 straight to face. And it can also go towards minions and anything else. If you're running the Demon Seed package and you get lucky on the weapon, that's 4 charges on the weapon. Not really trying. So, I mean, this is dealing like 5 at that particular point. And you're dealing damage along the way. So, I'm going to give this a shockingly good time. Next up for us is the Keen Eye Spotter. Keen Spotter is a 3-mana 3/4. And whenever your hero attacks a minion, set its health to 1. This is like such a weird card. You pretty much don't care. I mean, the only time you're gonna care, I mean, it makes it so that, like, if you have, like, a 5/6 minion on the board, and your weapon only has 5 attack, you're killing that minion instead of having to take 2 trades on it. I get that. But Hunter Bright doesn't have any of the heal that you usually have with cards like this. I mean, it's not the greatest stats in the world to throw into a deck. At this particular point, there's not enough weapons to really justify this. I haven't seen the last few cards in Hunter. If they make another weapon for Hunter, that's like a 1-mana 6 durability, this could be like really useful. There was an old weapon back in Hunter, I think it was like a 1-mana 1/5 or something like that made you immune while attacking or something like that. I think it might be innocent right now. But that would be like kind of the card that you need for this to work. Because if you use that weapon, then this becomes really useful. But again, the second you play this out, your opponent's going to kill it. And if this was like an aura effect, or put the effect on your weapon, then yeah. You know, Battlecry, give your weapon whenever your hero attacks, set its health to 1. Then yeah, this would be fine. But this is only while this is on the field. So you're getting 1 charge out of this. That's it. That's a lot to put into a deck for 1 clean kill. Because, again, this isn't good stats on its own. This is pretty much the almost vanilla stats on this. So, and again, once this comes out on the field, it's going to die next turn. So, I don't know where this is seeing play at this particular moment. So I'm going to give this a, the effect feels good, but almost wish this was a battle cry instead of an aura effect. Next up for us is supposedly the payoff card for those 2 previous cards, which is the Hope of Cloud Claws, which is a 6-mana legendary weapon for Hunter. And this is going to be a complete side note on everything else. I am glad that for the first time ever, or maybe the first time in a long time that I've seen, that this set is giving different legendaries to different stuff. Some people are getting legendary spells, some people are getting legendary weapons. That's a good way to do stuff like this. It doesn't always have to be everybody has to get a weapon, everybody has to get a spell, everybody has to get a quest. That's really interesting to see. I don't know if it's happened before, and if it has, I do apologize. But I see this coming out, and I'm really interested in this. Now, we're going to talk about this weapon in a second, and how this weapon isn't as great as you think it is. I mean, it's a 6-mana, 4/2, so it's not the stats that you're usually looking for. That's about like 4 that you're looking for, the stats. Now, it does give +1 to all your minions, wherever they're on board, in your hand, and in your deck. So it's kind of like playing a Mark of the Wild for Hunter, which is going to help with that push. But 6 is starting to get to the point where you gotta really win. I mean, if you're not winning by 6, if you're not putting that final nail in the coffin on 6, I don't know what you're playing in Hearthstone right now. And yes, if you have a board out, this is kind of going to add that +1 power to it. And do 4 on its own to kind of get that final push, maybe, that you need, like a Mark on the Wild. But everything else besides that on this card is almost filler text. Because on turn 6, you usually don't have that big of a hand. And yes, if you get this right on turn 6, you have a big deck left. But Hunter isn't known for going long. It's known for going fast. It's known for smork. You know, knee smash face. And if you go long, then yeah, this becomes useful. But even if this goes long, +2 on every single menu you have, while good, I'm not sure is a winner. I mean, yeah, you're kind of doing like an embiggen, but embiggen did it just for like 2 straight off the bat. Now increase all your minions by 1, but again, it's true straight off the bat. This had to get turn 6, where embiggen could be thrown on 0, and it was a 0 cost spell. The 0 cost spells always see play. The other problem with this is, and it's a weird problem, is as far as I'm aware, and I'll look for this again at some point, Hunter doesn't really have, like, weapon draw. So, yeah, it's a weapon and you can throw it in your deck. Thanks for coming by. And, you know, throwing a weapon in your deck isn't the worst thing in the world. And this is going to help with some of your other cards, don't get me wrong. But, you know, if you can't draw this weapon, it can end up right at the bottom of your deck. And that's something that you always got to be careful of when you ever have a legendary. And again, this is not a light legendary. This is not a 2 or a 3 or something like that. This is 6. So this is basically eating a turn for you. So I'll give this, looks really good on paper. Will most likely be decent on board. I'm not saying it's going to be the worst card ever, but it's not going to be the end-all, break-all card that everybody thinks it is. Okay, so now we are actually going to skip a card. And then we'll come back to that card at the end, because I got to talk about the other cards first, and then come back to the last card. So the next card up for us is one of the mage cards that came out, which is Prismatic Elemental. Prismatic Elemental is a 2-mana 1/3 elemental, of course. Let's discover a spell from any class at class 1 less. 1 mana 1/3 have always seen play. This is a 1 mana 1/3 that, 2 mana 1/3. So this wasn't, I must reject everything I just said. I can read well. So this is a 2 mana 1/3, which makes this a lot worse. I mean, and still even as a 2 mana 1/3, it's not the worst in the world. It's just, as a 1 mana 1/3, I was gonna give this like the highest rating I could give you. I was gonna give this a lot of price. The 2 mana 1/3, it's still not as bad as you think it is, because that discover on that is not the worst in the world because you get to discover a spell from a class. But here's the thing. With 11 classes that exist right now, because when this comes out, Death Knight will also exist. To try to discover the one spell off the 11 classes that exist and all the spells that exist off of that, it's a big ask. It's not an impossible ask, but it's a big ask. And there are certain spells that to this day only work for certain classes. I'm not sure there's as many like weapon buff spells anymore. But there are some spells that are just like, if you're not playing them in that class, there's not really a point. I mean, is it good? Yeah, will you probably find something that you can use? Who knows? That's the question. Because again, it's not just the fact that you can find a spell, or you can find a mage spell, or you can find even like a spell that's not a mage spell, or anything else like this. This can draw from anywhere at any point at any time. So this could get you mage spells, this could get you a rogue spell, this could even get you a demon hunter or a death knight spell. Now, just so everybody's aware and before everybody goes on a weird tangent, if you do get a Death Knight spell off of this, and it's got 2 runes on it, that doesn't matter. You can have 1 rune, 2 runes, 3 runes. The runes for Demon Hunter spells only count at the creating step. Once the deck goes into play, the runes no longer matter. So if you steal a card with runes, or if you somehow discover a card with runes, you can still play, and that card can be still used. So, don't have to worry about that. I was really excited at this when I thought this was 1. At 2, it becomes... Like, it's playable, but barely at 2. At 1, this would be ridiculous. So I'll give this a good mana cost then. Next up for us is Energy Shaper. Energy Shaper is a 4 mana 3/5. It says, transform all spells in your hands into one that costs 2 more. They keep their original cost. You're going to have to look at some spells in the game and try to figure out those kind of like breakpoints where there's not many spells that are like 2 up from that. When you play Deck of Lunacy, that's basically what you're trying to do with Deck of Lunacy. Is you're basically trying to get like a spell where it was, I think it was like 6. There weren't that many 8 spells out there, maybe at like 9. So maybe you're looking for like 7s, because I'm not sure there are many 9s. And one of the 9s that I know exists right now, which is considered a spell, is the Scourge. And getting the Scourge would be very, very funny. Because, I mean, that's a card you're looking for off of this. I mean, you're playing this in a spell-heavy deck, and that's basically where this is going. You're trying to sneak in that 2 mana, but you have to basically go through cards and see what falls in certain categories. Some numbers, some pools don't have a lot of choices in them, and those are the ones that you're going to be targeting. Not for the spells that you play, but for the spells that they turn into. Like the Scourge being 9, you're looking for 7 costs, where I know there's a lot of 7s that you can play. I'm just not sure there are that many 9s, so that would be like one of the best instances of that. Next up for us is the Vast Wisdom, which is a 2-mana no-skull spell, which says discover 2 spells that cost 3 or less and swap their costs. The problem with this is there's a whole bunch of times where you're going to find a spell that's a 2 and a spell that's a 3. And flip-flopping those 2 isn't going to really help you out a lot. The best flip-flop that you're looking at on this is you get a 0 and you get a 3. And the 0 basically was never going to be something that you played, and the 3 was going to be something that you did play. I mean, it's throwing 2 cards into your deck for if you want to play with that randomness of it. So anything that wants to just put 2 extra cards in their deck, you could almost pick a 2 and a 2 and not care that you're just flopping the 2 of them. Also, if you're trying to do like some shenanigans where you're trying to get like different flavors of spells, this could get you like a shadow or a nature or a fel that you might be missing. But this is basically skip turn 3. And while skipping turn 3 isn't the end of the world, you gotta be careful about what you get, because, again, there are spells that you like, and there are spells that you hate. So, I mean, you're really rolling the dice on this. Next card up for us is actually going to be down here, because it's kind of the payoff for this whole random casino Yogg mage that they're trying to put together. And what this is a Grand Master Romoth, which is a 9-mana 5/7, which says battle card, recast each spell you've cast this game that didn't start in your deck. Again, if you can get spells that don't have any downside to them, you can get some real, fun going on here. I mean, but this is basically you're playing a Yogg. You're playing Yogg at this particular point. This is Yogg Saron. You can call this whatever you want. It's basically Yogg Saron. And in fact, it's kind of almost better than a Yogg Saron, because you can kind of, if you are using this as like kind of a card at the end, you could try to find cards along the way that like have no downside to them. Where it's like deal 3 damage to an enemy. That can't attack you. Also, just so that everybody is aware, and kind of like a sneaky little side note on this, all the arcane bolts that you get from the other cards, this would count towards 2. So, this might just see play in that whole arcane bolt scenario. So where you drop down this, throw the arcane bolts at somebody, and then they figure, oh, I'm done with all that stuff. And then you come back and drop this on 9, and then do all the arcane bolts again. The only problem is, if I remember correctly, I believe arcane bolts can hit you too. Let me just look at that for one quick second. Deal 2 damage. Yep. So they can hit your face too, so just be careful of that if you're trying to do that little trick. I mean, it's kind of fun. I'm sure somebody will do it just for the funness of it, but be careful of it. Next up for us is the first drink card that we've done in a while, or in this set. At least for this block. So we're going back to Dread for a little bit. And this is Crypt Keeper. And this is an 8 mana 4/6 that costs, with taunt, that costs 1 less for each armor you have. You have to have 4 armor for this to even see some decent amount of play. I mean, in a perfect world, you want to have 8 armor so that you can drop this for free. Anything below 5, like if anything below 4, I should say. So if you've got 4 armor, this is decent. If you got 5 armor, this becomes better. But if you've got 3 armor, this is barely playable. And if you have no armor, this is like the worst taunt you could throw out. I mean, you are not looking to play an 8 mana 4/6 ever. And if you're on the ropes and you're looking for a taunt, your armor count is 0, most likely. I'm not seeing where this could come into effect. There's not a lot of armor gain in Hunt and Dread right now. I mean, there's some that always exist, like stuff like that, like where you can get armor and stuff like that. Like Armor Beetle and stuff like that, but again, this is basically almost backwards. Or it should cost 1 less for each damage you've taken. That could be where it could come in handy. So it could be an anti-aggro card. This is like, if you already have 8 armor on your character, a lot of times that's Dread. You basically have won the game and you're just basically being giddy at this point. And to drop this for 0 when you have that 8 armor is kind of like that snowbally haha effect. Like you're not getting past my armor, you're not getting even to touch my armor until you get through this. Which makes this almost an aggressive card, even though it's definitely defensively statted, or how you're supposed to play this is defensively statted. So it's another one of those weird cards that seems like it's defensive, but it's going to fall more into an aggressive deck way too often. And the last card for us, at least in this block, is going to be Beetlemancy. Beetlemancy is a 5 mana no tribe card, no schools card I should say. that says choose one, gain 12 armor, or summon 2/3/3 beetles with taunt. You're trying to play this on 5 and gain the 12 armor so you can use the next card. And play the taunt, or play this on 5, gain the 12 armor, and drop the taunt. So that you can kind of get that advantage of it, because that's why you're basically looking to play this. So these two cards are basically going to be played almost in the same deck for a lot of times. This is going to be a kind of like sneaky, like turnaround deal. Because other than that, on turn 5, gaining 12 armor is nothing. I'm sorry to say that gaining 12 armor is nothing. And it should mean something on turn 5 to gain 12 armor. But there are cards that on turn 1 you can gain 5 that don't see point. I don't think gaining 12 on 5 being your, saving grace. Also, 2/3/3 beetles with taunt isn't the greatest for 5. It's not the worst for 5. But it's nothing that you're writing home about. I mean, is it the worst card in the world? No. Is it the card that you're writing home about? No. Anyways, those are the last 10 cards that have come out. Thank you all so much for watching, and as always, remember, play for fun.